So back when the Lumix GH5 was initially launched, I was still recording with the GH4. I had a G7 and a G85. Those were my primary video cameras, and I also had a G9 for photography. Although that was very short-lived because I do mostly headshots and model portfolio work. So full frame is really the only way to go, in my opinion, for that type of imagery. I just never got what I wanted photography-wise out of a G9. And while the G9 did have some good features at the time, I was never able to get the imagery that I wanted. And so while I kept Micro Four Thirds as my video cameras, I made the move over to the Canon EOS R and the Sony a7 III, as well as also still having a Fujifilm X-T1, X-T2, and then X-T3 shortly thereafter, and an X-H1, which surprisingly enough at the time I really didn't use for video. I should have, but I didn't. I used it for photo, which I loved. And I was very pleased in my photography work with what I had at my fingertips. And I was loving Micro Four Thirds for my video use. I loved having small compact lenses. I kept my G7 on this Zhiyun Crane V2 all the time, and I handheld my G85. I made this music video here with just the G7, actually just the G85, and two manual focus, older, pretty crappy lenses actually, nothing special, no, rare, cool vintage, and one tiny little light. And I made that music video. It's very spur of the moment, of course, for my son. My son wrote a great song and had a really great video idea, and so, as typical for, young kids, last minute, hey Dad, you want to shoot a music video? And I said, oh, what do I have with me? Sure, let's go. And it came out great. It's a really great, fun, whimsical song called Virus, clearly about the CVID that we were going through at the time, and the music video was just a blast to make. We made it in a couple hours on no budget with cheap gear. And everybody that's seen it so far enjoys it. No, it's not going to make cinematic history, but it was fun to do, and it was a great experience for my son and I to do together. But then as I started to become more and more intrigued with the GH5 and slightly underwhelmed or stifled by the capabilities or lack of advancements in the GH4, I started talking to all my friends about who was picking up a GH5 and what they were going to use it for. And I remember a good friend of mine got it and put it right to work and started making very good money with the GH5 and making great projects. But now fast forwarding to today, many years later, 2025, he's out there using REs and Reds. I mean, he's using top of the whatever high-end producers use. He's using I don't even know what gear he's using now. It's easily $500,000 worth of gear. So he's out there. And here I am. I just sold off my two Canon C200s, picked up a GH5, which was brand new, like brand new. So back to the story, I was actually talking to this friend of mine on the phone a couple days ago. Yes, people still talk on the phone. And we were talking about the GH5, and he's like, man, I can't believe you're doing that. That's awesome. I wish I could take that risk again. And I loved shooting with the GH5. It was so easy and nimble and great memories, yada, yada, yada. And then he said, but unfortunately, one of its downfalls is that it only has 3 custom setting positions on the dial. And I said, well, what do you mean? I said, there's not just 3 custom settings. He goes, no, that's it. There's custom 1, C1, custom 2, C2, and C3. He's like, I needed more. I needed more options. And I said, well, don't you know that there's actually 5 custom setting positions? 3 on the dial, and then 2 more within C3 through the screen. And he was like, what are you talking about? No way, I didn't know that, you're lying to me. And so I sent him a video. I sent him a video of this. Here's the video. It's not a high quality video. It's just the video I sent him. So I'm going to put it here in this video.
All right, C1, right? C1, C2, C3. Okay, now we're on C3. So within C3, you just tap on the icon there, C3. Look at that, custom modes. They're like hidden modes, man, custom settings. C3 1, which we're on right now. Hold on, sorry. C3 2. C3 1 I have set to 60 frames per second. C3 2 I have set to 120, and then C3 3 I have set to 180. That's it, man. It's that easy. It's awesome. So there's actually 5 custom settings available. All right, brother. Glad to hear everything is going so.
So I sent him that video, just showing him that you can actually have 5 custom settings. 3 on the dial, and then C2 and C3 from the screen within C3. So it's C1, C2, C3 on the dial. And then within C3 there is C3 1, C3 2, C3 3. And so for me, my uses, I use C1 and C2 as my 24 frames per second shooting. I use C1 as my 8-bit, C2 as my 10-bit, and then I use C3 1 as my 60 frames per second, C3 2 as my 120 frames per second, and then I use C3 3 as my 180 frames per second. And of course, this can all be done within the variable frame rate selection of the GH5. And if you're unfamiliar with where that is, drop a line in the comment section. I'd be happy to make a video on that and show you how I go and set my custom settings. So right there, within 5 custom settings, I have my talking head setting. I have my run and gun cinematic setting that I would shoot client work with, or pretty much anything else. It's not just me sitting in front of the camera like this. And then for C3, 1, 2, and 3, I use those as my variable high frame rate options for my slow motion. And I don't do a whole lot of slow motion work, but that's another reason why I did want to get into the GH5 again, because it does offer in-camera high frame rate options, and they look great. They look buttery and crisp, and as long as you nail all of your settings, that in-camera high frame rate is really all you need. And to have 60, 100, 120, 180 all right there, I opted not to have the 100 because I prefer 60, 120, and 180. But see, again, going back to why I'm even revisiting a camera from 2017 all the way in 2025 is because I really truly believe there is so much more within this tiny little powerhouse of a GH5 that I never even tapped into, that so many other people didn't even know about or utilize. And I think a good portion of that is because everyone jumped right into the GH5's cinema capabilities without actually diving into its nuances and all of those other hidden capabilities. Because really everything that you need to access to shoot cinema quality, great footage is right there on the surface. But all those goodies, man, all those extra goodies below the surface, that is what makes the GH5 truly something special. Even in 2025. In my opinion, the GH5 is kind of like the Laird Hamilton of the surfing world. Just epic. A total legend. You know, there are things that I miss about my C200. Because being in the Canon workflow for so long, that ecosystem is very easy to immerse yourself in. It really is. It's very user-friendly. So going from 2 C100 Mark IIs to 3 C200s was just fluid. But in all honesty, on a daily basis, using the GH5, the only thing that I really truly miss significantly from my C200s is the internal NDs. I didn't want autofocus again. I wanted to force myself to get better at nailing focus and being able to optimally utilize a lot of my manual focus only lenses, like this beautiful little SLR Magic 50mm T0.95. SLR Magic, if you ever watch these videos, please reach out to me. I would love to have all of your lenses lined up right back here somewhere. I would love to just have an array of Micro Four Thirds SLR Magic lenses. I'll build a shelf just for them. Trust me. That's how much I do love SLR Magic lenses, and I love the fact that they're well built and still affordable. Alright friends, well thanks for watching another video. I hope you found some type of information to be helpful in this video. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, do that YouTube thing. And until the next video, I encourage you to go pick up your camera, whatever it is. Just dive a little deeper to find some of those hidden nuances of that tool that you are using to create in your craft. I'm Adam, also known as Coach Hard Gains, as a bodybuilding and addiction recovery coach for 27 years. This is The Growing Pro, where we hope that all of our experiences, good, bad, indifferent, ugly, nasty, everything we've been through, all the trials and tribulations, all the learning curves, will help you to circumvent a large portion of all of that process to get to a point where you are a growing pro, making money at your craft, doing what you love. I'll see you in the next video.
Let's